My name is Jillian Perrick, and I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I hope to one day inspire women with invisible disabilities to overcome their limiting beliefs and start the business of their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women beat their inner imposter using neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Let's get started, girlfriend. Hello, ladies, and probably no gentlemen whatsoever, but I'm going to address them anyways. As always, this podcast episode is sponsored by the From Imposter to Empowered course. Now, this is an online course that I have created to help you overcome your imposter syndrome. It is so much deeper than just not feeling like an expert. It's really tracing back those beliefs that we have about ourselves, and this course will help you do that. And not only will it help you uncover those subconscious beliefs that you may be holding on to, but it will also help you release those beliefs and create new ones and create a new identity for you to move forward in a more empowered way, hence From Imposter to Empowered. You can get that at the link in my bio for $147, and if you use FITE podcast, the coupon code, you can get 15% off your course. I was giddy as fuck when I saw that somebody used the coupon the other day, because I had just recently started talking about it here in the podcast episodes, because I launched it in, I want to say June. I launched it in June, and then I was getting everything together for it to be completely passive, and now it is. And I was so excited when somebody purchased it using the podcast link. So I know that you guys are listening and that you are interested in it. And if you are, again, you can get 15% off with the coupon code FITE podcast at the link in my show notes. And this course is going to blow your mind. People love it. They love the forgiveness meditation session that's in there. They love all the journaling. It's really an amazing course. So go and grab that. So today we are talking about that anxiety that you may have before a coaching call. Now, this can also be applied to any type of service-based entrepreneur. So let's say you're a VA and you're looking for people who may potentially need your services, or you're on Instagram or you're talking to people. I actually had an NLP breakthrough session client who was talking about how she would actually look at people and think, oh, like I already don't want to work with them. And she couldn't figure out why. And the same thing goes for when you're so fucking pumped to be a coach, or you're so excited to do the damn thing, and you start to get that anxiety or weird, I don't want to do this energy when you actually have to perform. And by perform, I mean get on coaching calls or pitch your services or whatever. This also came up for one of my clients who took like a really long needed break. So she took a break, and she was so ready to go, raring to go when we started up again, but she was feeling a lot of anxiety once we started to get into, okay, now let's talk about your offers. Let's talk about like pitching and selling. Let's get into this. She was feeling a lot of anxiety again, and kind of those feelings of I'm not good enough. And this anxiety is your imposter syndrome. This anxiety is you pushing your clients away, or you pushing potential clients away. I don't know if you guys have ever heard my story about when somebody came to me and they were an ideal client and I referred her to somebody else. That was my own anxiety that was coming through because I didn't feel adequate enough or good enough as a coach. I was like, oh my God, like this person's gonna expect me to show up and like rock their fucking world, and I'm so nervous, I don't know what to say. And this actually followed me to when I was really heavy into my one-on-one. So I might do a podcast episode about like my story or my journey as a coach, because it really like I basically did like a quantum leap. Like I literally made $1,000, I think, in March, and now I'm making 17 to 20K a month. And it happened so fast within the span of like 4 months. I don't want to thank COVID because that would be really insensitive, but honestly, COVID has allowed me to work from home for my job. So it's honestly been like a really eye-opening experience for me because it's been like, I am able to do this. I can make money at this. And I think there was always kind of the inkling where I wasn't sure if I could sustain it, hence why I was in my full-time job, which I still am in. But that is for purposes in terms of a mortgage and buying a house and all that jazz. Anyways, long story short, when I started to actually have a full roster of one-to-one clients, when it wasn't just one client here, or whatever, when I had a full roster, I was getting this really anxious, sinky feeling before getting on my calls. And same with the NLP sessions, which I fucking love. They are always transformative. Like they're always amazing. That's also at the link in my show notes if you want to purchase one of those. But they are honestly life-changing, but I would be so nervous before them. I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do this. I'd be on the couch being like, Dustin, I don't want to do this. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to do it. And it was my own imposter syndrome. It was fucking Rhonda coming out of the woodwork and saying like, oh, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out that like once you get on that call, you actually don't have anything substantial to say and you're not going to be able to perform the way you want and they're going to be disappointed. And that's why I kind of want to talk about this topic because I've heard it from multiple people, but you may be too ashamed to talk about it. I have had a couple clients who have told me this and they kind of like light up when I say it. They're kind of like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like I actually don't hate my job. Like I actually do want to be a coach or I do want to do this or I do want to do that. And I'm like, yes, of course you do. This is your passion. Like this is what you want to do. The anxiety is just your imposter syndrome. The anxiety is the thoughts that are coming into your head of being like, you're not going to be good enough. And if you listen to those thoughts, you'll start taking the actions that would mean that maybe you are subconsciously pushing these clients away, or maybe you're not really focusing on the client during the call. You're focusing on how can I impress this client, and they're not going to get the same impact, and therefore you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, and then go down the spiral. But what was really helpful for me was just doing the damn thing, was getting on the call, was resetting my energy, doing some EFT, saging the fuck out of my room, out of the office, sorry, and really focusing on like, this is for my client. This client is going to get an amazing result. Your intention behind everything is what matters. And even if you're feeling kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this, reset yourself and think to yourself, this is for the client. This client is going to get an amazing result. I am going to facilitate an amazing transformation for this client. And you can't go wrong, because when we set the intention, when we have the positive expectancy of something happening that is going to be good, that energy radiates off of you and you are going to do something amazing for your client no matter what it is. You also can't determine what your client actually needs until you are putting all of your focus on them. If I was always thinking to myself, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 that shit is going to come through in my coaching calls. But instead, I focus on the questioning. I trust the process. I trust that whatever comes out is going to be something that the client really needs in that moment. And that's why I'm not a fan of like really regimented or like thought out programs when it comes to your coaching, if you're a coach, because you are a person that is helping somebody else in their own journey, and you don't actually know what they're going to need until you calibrate on them, until you figure out what it is that they need to be served with. And that can be anxiety inducing in itself, in terms of being like, so I'm just going to show up on the call and be like, hey, what are we going to talk about? I always have kind of a plan. I kind of like look back on my notes, stuff I want to talk about before, but it's really about holding space for your client, and that's what they're paying you for. They're paying you for the guided questions, the empowerment, the holding space. Depending on what kind of coach you are, of course, there's going to be elements of teaching and guiding with regards to like the stuff that they're doing. So if they have like really specific questions and stuff, and obviously having the knowledge to answer those. But a lot of the time, I have like mindset coaches that come to me and they're just like, how do I know what makes me special? How do I know how I'm going to help them? And it's all in how you show up for them and how you show up with your own energy. One of my clients, she is a coach for like new moms, and I was saying to her how like your energy is so like good behind like on your Instagram stories. She is so calm and cool and collected. She is embodying the type of mom that her clients want to be, and they're looking at her like, this coach makes me feel safe. This coach makes me feel like I can trust her, that she gets me. And that is the whole point. You need to embody that person who somebody is going to look at and be like, I am attracted to their energy and how they put stuff out. There are tons of people who like sit on their stories and are so monotone and so like uninterested in what they're talking about. And it's not attractive to me. Like, I want to see you excited. I want to see you really care about the information you're giving to people. I get told all the time that people are really attracted to my energy on my stories. And the fact that people are attracted to that makes me want to do that stuff more. And when it comes down to actually working with the person, and when it comes down to actually being on the call with them, I want to be in the same authentic energy as I am on my Instagram stories. And again, I'm thinking of it as, how can I serve this client instead of how can I make myself feel less like a fraud? How can I make myself seem good enough? Once I moved out of that and instead moved into how can I serve this client the best that I can, everything changed. Especially because it was a way for me to look past the fear and the anxiety that I was feeling and instead think about the other person, which creates an amazing result, which then has me thinking like, oh, I can really do this. I also want you to be aware that like you're going to have days where your energy is off. You're going to have days where like you feel kind of low or that like you don't want to show up or whatever. But when you have a commitment to somebody and you make that commitment, it's kind of like working out. You're never going to regret showing up on that call and doing your best. And you are making the impact that you want to make every day just by again, focusing on that client and giving your attention and your energy to them. And that is why taking care of yourself is really important. So leaving the time for your mindset work, leaving the time for your self-love and your self-care practices, resting, taking that time for yourself will allow you to fill up your own cup so you're not feeling drained energetically when you get on the calls with clients. Because that's honestly like a really big piece of it is your energy when it comes to clients and like being energetically available for them. It takes up a lot of your energy and your motivation when you are giving it away to other people. So something that I wanted to say, something that I learned in terms of holding onto your energy, and I'm actually coming with an energy management bundle. It's coming out soon. It's going to be super cheap, going to be super affordable. I'm really excited about it. But one of these tricks that you can do is zip yourself up before your sessions. And actually, the act of zipping yourself up is actually really cool because there's a physical component to feeling like you are contracting yourself and holding that space for yourself and closing anything up so you're not exposing your energy to other people. So you can Google it. I'm not a fucking guru when it comes to this stuff, but you can totally Google the act of zipping yourself up, and I do that before every call. I also have this course from Reese from Yes Supply through the certification, and she has a meditation where you can actually create like a protective bubble almost around you, and I do that usually too before NLP sessions and before my coaching calls. And again, there's a lot of different energetic modalities you can use to kind of protect your energy, but I think that it's really important to note that like if you feel tired, if you feel drained, if you feel like you're kind of moody or like low vibe or whatever it is, It could be because your clients are draining your energy, which isn't a bad thing. You're coaching them. You're doing all the things you should be doing as a coach. But know that if you let it get to the point where like you're not conserving your energy, you're not looking after yourself, then you're going to have more of those anxious thoughts, those I'm not good enough thoughts, because you're going to have a very low vibration. So with that being said, regarding the actual anxiety behind your client calls or being nervous about your client calls, it is just that inner imposter, that Rhonda or whoever she is for you, telling you that you're not good enough, telling you that this is going to be difficult, that you're not going to be able to say what you want to say, or you're not going to be able to get through to them, or they're going to be a difficult client. Whatever it is just your brain trying to keep you safe. It's your brain trying to tell you that whatever you say isn't good enough and this isn't going to be good and blah, blah, blah. Just your brain trying to keep you safe, because performing public speaking, you're basically public speaking all week if you have calls, like the whole time, or if you do guest speaking or whatever, that is draining your energy, and it is scary. It's putting yourself out there. It's constantly pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. We all think it's like the hardest thing in the world to get clients, when in reality, the hard part is when you actually start doing it. The hard part is when you actually have to start putting yourself out there and being like, hey, like, let's actually create this transformation that I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks during my launch. You know what I mean? So it's really important to know that you are not a fraud. You are not an imposter. You are doing your best with the information that you have right now. And that anxiety is just your brain trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you in your small bubble of let's not actually take any legitimate action towards your goals, because if you do, then you might be exposed or whatever, and that is just not going to happen. You are a real, authentic, genuine human being. You are here to change lives, and you cannot do that unless you put yourself out there and actually do the damn thing, even when sometimes you feel like you don't want to. And that's why we have amazing resources like emotional freedom techniques, like tapping, and we have energy clearing techniques and all the really amazing things that will help you reset your energy, raise your vibe, make you feel really, really good. And that's why it's so important to keep an accomplishment journal, because then you can look back on all the amazing things you've done and the lives you've changed. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all. If you guys have any more questions about getting rid of that anxiety or talking it through or whatever, you can DM me on Instagram at YourCoachJill. And I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget about the From Imposter to Empowered course, which you can get 15% off of at the link in my show notes using the coupon code FITE podcast. So again, if you want to overcome your imposter syndrome and attract the abundance and everything you want in your life, you can go to the link in my show notes, put in the coupon code FITE podcast and get 15% off the course. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with me, Jillian Perrick. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me at YourCoachJill. Of course, I'd love for you to rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review. And if you screenshot your review and send it to me at YourCoachJill on Instagram, I'll send you a free gift. At the very least, make sure you follow me on Instagram, again at YourCoachJill, for tons of free content, strategies, and inspo. See you next time.